Microsoft 365 Copilot indexes every piece of data it can access across your entire tenant. If you have files without proper permissions or folders shared across departments, Copilot will read them. Turning it on without securing permissions first turns buried internal files into easily accessible answers. To fix this, you need to know exactly what is exposed. SafeScan is a read-only diagnostic tool that maps out your tenant's vulnerabilities. It runs in under 5 minutes, leaves zero footprint, and makes no modifications to your environment. This dashboard shows you the actual scale of the problem. We can see 39 items at risk immediately, bringing the overall Copilot readiness score to a partial 67 out of 100. To get that score up, the scan breaks your posture down into 6 specific domains: data exposure, identity, compliance, teams, licensing, and final Copilot readiness. Deploying Copilot without auditing these 6 domains means you are relying on the assumption that your existing permissions are already perfect. Because the AI indexes everything it sees, a single misconfigured folder can immediately become accessible to anyone in the organization who knows what to ask. Triaging results is straightforward. The status badges give an immediate read on what requires attention first. Look at the top row. This yellow warning pinpoints overshared SharePoint sites and anonymous external OneDrive links. These are the files Copilot will pull from. Once the data itself is locked down, you have to look at the users who have access to it. A secure identity boundary guarantees that the people querying Copilot are actually who they say they are. You establish that boundary in a specific sequence. First, audit your multi-factor authentication coverage. Second, remove any stale administrative accounts. Third, review your guest access. And fourth, enforce your conditional access policies. You don't have to build these checks from scratch. SafeScan provides a pre-written PowerShell script for each checkpoint. You can run this directly in your environment to instantly list users bypassing your conditional access rules. By locking down these 4 identity steps, you ensure that even if a legacy guest account or an inactive admin profile is compromised, they cannot weaponize Copilot against your network. Seeing a failed score can cause immediate panic, but a 0 in compliance often means a baseline policy hasn't been activated. Here, the scan reveals the total absence of data loss prevention policies. Without DLP rules, sensitive data flows freely without triggering alerts. Resolving this failure is a matter of following the specific administrative path provided by the tool. SafeScan lists the exact sequence of menus and clicks needed within the Microsoft Purview portal to activate the correct policies and close the gap. Let's apply that same workflow to a different problem. You run a scan and hit a 46 out of 100 warning on your sensitivity labels. Where do you go next to solve it? First, you check the Remediation tab for your Purview navigation path. Then, to understand exactly why the score triggered, you check the evidence. The Raw Data tab exposes the exact Graph API JSON response, proving exactly which sites lack default labels. AI readiness comes down to this specific process, taking a diagnostic warning, reviewing the raw evidence, and translating it into the correct button clicks within your Purview Admin Center. Securing your environment for Copilot is an iterative loop. It requires testing, adjusting, and retesting as your tenant grows and changes. As you systematically resolve those individual identity and compliance errors, the overall security posture of the tenant improves. You can track this momentum directly in the historical scan logs. To maintain that posture, rely on a simple 4-step deployment protocol. Connect your tenant safely, triage the highest risks, execute the fixes, and verify the results. Start the triage phase by authenticating via the Graph API with read-only permissions. From there, immediately assess your core data exposure and identity domains, prioritizing the files and users that Copilot will rely on first. Move into the action phase by following the Admin Center remediation steps for each failed policy. Once the configurations are updated, run continuous verification scans to mathematically prove your environment is safer than it was yesterday. You don't need a deep, specialized cybersecurity background to prepare for Microsoft 365 Copilot. You just need the discipline to systematically identify your gaps, trace them to the source, and close them before flipping the switch.